Hey guys, in this video we are going to go through chapter 6 exercise 5, which looks like this one over here. So we're going to create a new part, English standard, start 2D sketch, XY plane, and we are first going to draw the shape over here. And there's a few ways to do this. You could create a rectangle with this with the overall dimensions. I believe that would be, 15 overall? From here across 15 and then up 6. And then you can round off these edges. That's one way. You can create a rectangle that's 9 by 6 over here. And then create 2 circles over here. That's another way. Both ways are totally valid. I'm going to show you 3 ways right now how to do that. First was a rectangle from here. And what did I say? It was, I'm going to do rectangle. Click here and go out. And now notice how it has the text in blue. I'm going to hit 15 right now. But I'm not going to hit enter because then it'll lock it in at the height of 0.320 inches, which is not what I want. Instead, I'm going to hit tab. And now it's going to let me manually type in the height that I want, which is 6. And from here, you can do what's called a fillet. Not a fillet, it's a fillet. And a fillet gives you a nice rounded edge. So you're going to hit fillet, and then you specify the radius of your curve, which in this case is 3. And then you just type in the two lines that create the corner that you now want to have be curved. That's one way to do a fillet. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to delete everything I just did. That's one way to draw a fillet. Another way I could have drawn this was, I'm going to go 15 by 6 again, and I'm going to finish the sketch, and I'm going to extrude it. 3. You can actually create the fillet when you have your part drawn in 3D. You can hit fill over here, specify the radius, and then hit the corner or the edge that you would like to have be rounded. So that's 2 ways. Actually, I'm going to show you 4 ways. I lied when I said 3. Let's go back to our sketch and edit it. Again, you probably should have made that a teachable moment. To edit, you can go back over here and then right-click Extrusion 1, and then Edit the Feature allows you to edit the extrusion options, and then Edit Sketch lets you edit the sketch itself. Okay? I could have created a rectangle that was 9 by 3, or actually 9 by 6, right? 9 by 6, and then I'm going to create 2 circles, kind of make the little racetrack looking thing. So if I go near the middle, look how Inventor turned green. It knows that you probably want to do work at the middle. And then I'm going to specify that my diameter is 6, or I can just drag it to where it reaches that intersection and it'll realize, okay, you want it there. Do the same thing over here. And now I need to trim this portion out. So I'm going to hit the trim option, and the trim option lets you cut material until it hits the next line. So if I click right here, it'll trim from where it hits the line to where it hits the line. Trim, trim. I can't trim these over here because there's nothing to trim to. So you can actually go ahead and delete them. Because once you're finished with the rectangle, it doesn't create one box. It creates 4 separate lines. And we have the geometry drawn. That was 3 ways. Now I'm going to show you the last and actually the easiest way. Under rectangle, there's this little drop down, which gives you several different ways to draw rectangular shaped objects. And you can choose rectangles based on what information you have. Maybe you know 3 points, maybe you know 2 points, maybe you know the center, whichever one you have the time. Over here is what's called the slot command. And the slot command lets you draw a rectangular shape with rounded edges. Because that's a pretty common geometry in engineering. So I'm going to hit the one that says center to center. So look what Inventor's saying. It says select start of center. Oh, they'll do the origin. And then select the next center. So I'm going from center to center. That distance is 9. And hit enter. Then I'm going to specify the height or the diameter of the circle, which is 6. Boom. And I'm going to finish the sketch right here. Now, I don't really like this home view. You actually can change the home view. So I'm going to hold down Shift and the middle scroll wheel and kind of find generally what I want. And once I get kind of close, then I'm going to use the cube to help me pick, okay, this is probably a better home view. So once I click the corner, I'm going to right-click this little home right here, set current view as home, fit to view. Now, no matter where I am, my home view is now a little bit nicer. So I'm going to now create a hole right here. I actually could have done the hole from sketch 1, but we can use the practice using the hole function. So over here, I know that this is a hole over here because on this view, it's a dashed line going through. These circles over here are cylinders. They are not holes. So that's going to be a new sketch. But now for the hole, I'm going to do a hole. And again, you guys have the 2020 version. I have 2018. The differences really come out when we do the hole function, but it's not all that different. So I need to hit hole, then specify where you want to draw the hole, which is right here. I'm going to now make a concentric hole. You guys don't have to worry about this step. But what the word concentric means is, concentric is when two circles share the same center. Think of like a target. A target has several different circles with different diameters, but they all have the same center. So when I create a concentric hole, I'm going to tell it I want it over here, and then it's asking you, okay, concentric to what? What arc do you want this hole to have the same center as? And I'm going to specify this curve over here. Boom. Now my hole has the same center as this curve right here. You got to specify the diameter, which I believe is 4. And I'm going to have it go through all, and I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to create a new 2D sketch, and I'm going to draw it right on top of this right here. And I'm going to create a circle with diameter 4 as well. Finish the sketch, extrude it up, and I believe that one is 2. I'm going to do it again. Oop. Start new 2D sketch right on top of it. Create a new circle right at that point. And notice that this is all sharing, what did I hit? This is all sharing the same center of that right here. If the center ever doesn't appear for you, you can kind of hover over that line and see that little yellow dot appeared. Let's see if I can do it again. When you hit that, the center will appear, just in case it doesn't come up as easily for you. Okay, and now we are done with our part. So now that we're done with our part, we can save it. So File, Save As, save it as a nice location. Chapter 6, Exercise 5. And once you have that done, now we can open up a new drawing file. Remember the steps. We got to change our sheet size to be size A. And our title block, delete the larger one and add in the smaller one. Now I'm going to hit my base view. And let's follow the way the book showed it. So we're going to have this view on top and that as our front view. So if this isn't the view that you want as your front, don't go by this. It's just the way Inventor chose it based on your original plane selection. You can kind of choose the one. Yeah, this is the view I wanted. And I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to now do projected. Remember our last video we showed you that you can do it all in one step. And now notice my hidden lines didn't appear. Let's double click here and then, look, hidden line removed. Let's make sure that's on. Projected, this right here. And in this instance, we actually don't need all three views. Why? Well, to show you this side view actually doesn't give me any new information that the front and the top already didn't do. So even without that side view, I actually have all the information I need to describe the part fully. So now let's add some center lines and center marks. So center marks. When you do the center mark and you do this circle over here, you got to be sure to do both. Let me escape and do that again. I'm going to hit center mark, and then you got to make sure to do this one, but that only gives you half of it. To do this one as well. Same with this. Do the inside one as well. Then do your center line bisectors for right here. But when you try and do center line bisector for this over here, you don't actually have anything that you can click on to create the views. So if I click here and here, well, that's not really what I want. If I keep trying that, that doesn't do it. So in this one, we're actually going to hit the center line option. So when you do the center line, these are more handy when you have cylinders, whereas the center line bisector is more like when you have a hole. You do hit center line, and then you hit the center of the line right here, and then drag it down to the next right across. Click, then when you are done, right click and create. That little gap right here, that's just some scaling. That's nothing you have to really worry about. You're fine as is. I thought I deleted that. I guess it came back when I hit undo. Now let's add some dimensions. I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to also do from here to here. Okay. Now remember, when we have a hole in a cylinder, on one of the views it will appear as a circle, and the other one it will appear as a rectangle. Whenever we have a hole, we dimension to the circle. Whenever we have a cylinder, we dimension to the rectangle. So I'm going to dimension this from these little like cake tier things from the rectangle. And when I do that, notice how the diameter symbol automatically appears. And I'm going to move that because I don't want it intersecting. Just move it so it's not ugly. Remember, we can cross extension lines. We cannot cross dimension lines. Let's also dimension a few other things. I'm going to dimension this curve right here. And when it's a curve, remember, it is a radius, but Inventor automatically knows that. I also want to tell it that, hey, I don't want to dimension all four of these arcs or all two of these semicircles. So I'm going to double click here when I'm done. Hit escape if you have to. And I'm going to now edit the dimension. So I'm going to type in TYP, but I'm going to make it in all caps because that's how engineers do it. And now this brackets right here, that's just showing you the dimension. And then what you put after it is what will appear after it. If you wanted something before it, put it before it and hit OK. And now I have radius 3, and that's typical. I'm also going to dimension from here to show that it's 9. And remember that rule where you don't have to dimension the overall length if the ends are both arcs? That applies here. Maybe I'll move this off. And notice how I can't move it anywhere left and right. I'm trying, but it can only go up and down because it has to be perfectly aligned. Okay, I'm running out of time. I'm trying to keep this video to under 15 minutes. So the last thing I have to do is dimension this hole right here, and you dimension a hole to the circle portion, like so. And I believe that is all my information. We have our center mark, center lines. You could actually create a center line showing that these are along the same plane. But if you can't get it to work, which, yeah, there we go. Should do that as well, just to showing you that these are in the same plane. And I believe that's everything. Our circle is located from the center, and then the center to center from here. And yeah, we are good. All right, with 3 seconds to spare. All right, thank you guys.